All right, everybody, recording this Sunday night. The New York Jets, believe it or not, guys, it's pretty fucking crazy, but we actually won a game today against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know how to feel. We'll talk about that later, though, because let's just get to it with Derek and these Giants, man. Brutal loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I guess any hope that you had that maybe this season could, turn into something here, kind of went up in smithereens. So yeah, bro, how you doing, man?
Yeah. Hey, Casey. Yeah, we'll discuss Jets in a little bit. Their first win of the season, but for my Giants, yeah, I mean, pretty disastrous fucking day, right? I mean, like you said, this puts to rest, and not that, look, not that they were going to make the playoffs anyway, but as far as, like, this maybe being a competitive season, what's fucking crazy is since 2017, the Giants have started out 2-6 or worse in every year since 2017, except for the year the Giants made the playoffs in 2022.
Wow.
So 8 of those 9 seasons, it was either 2-6 or 1-7. So just to give you a reference point, I'm like, the season with this fucking team, it's over. It is always over before October ends.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like they're in it. And here we are again, coming off of the tough Denver loss. And look, you knew realistically, like, the Giants weren't going to beat the Eagles twice in 3 weeks. They have not swept the Eagles since 2007, and they have not won in Philly since 2013.
I saw that stat. I couldn't believe that. That's insane.
And we haven't won in Dallas since 2016.
Wow.
I mean, these are your division fucking rivals, and you have not won.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In that amount of time. So there's that aspect to it, the Giant Eagle thing, and Giants have not won on the Giants are 0-5 on the road this season. They haven't won a road game since early last year against the Seahawks. I'm not sure the exact number on that. It's got to be at this point at least like a 10 or so game road losing streak. But
yeah,
the real sad part of today, and there's a lot to discuss, but Cam Skattebo is lost for the season.
Yeah,
just like that.
I want a little moment of silence here for Cam Skattebo. I have an incense stick here that I'm gonna light, and bless his heart if the thing could light it up for us.
Say hi to Malik for me.
Yeah, say hi to Malik. Cam, I have you in my fantasy league, and I don't know where I'm gonna go now because I don't have enough running backs to fill up my roster. So please, we hope that you get better soon, but now we have a depressed Derek and a depressed Casey for different reasons, but here we are. Anyway, continue. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. Got to pour one out for Cam.
I didn't have, I do have a fake beer here, so I'll do that. I'll pour a little. Yeah.
We got you. Scat. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Just in terms of, like, not only has he been playing great football, but just the energy and kind of the, like, this new Jackson Dart, Cam Skattebo sort of energy. Like, you see Cam Skattebo, like, on the, back cover of, I forget what, it might have been Newsday or whatever, like, at the Knick game.
Yeah,
going
right.
crazy. Skattebo's become, like, kind of a, I don't know, folk hero. I mean, like, because he's a good player. It's not like it's like some bullshit
and it's
thing.
still young enough, but he's definitely captivated everybody in New York.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that photo, I think that you're talking about, everyone was like, oh my God, he looks like a kid, like on the Long Island Railroad, like, with one of his tall boys or something like that, which was like, and he does, which is awesome.
Truly.
So
he truly does.
That was so unfortunate, man. Yeah. And I felt so bad because you could even tell, like, Jackson Dart, like, those two have a special relationship, clearly, and it's like when he was being carted off and they kind of did like the little head nod thing to one another, I was like, damn. I was like, as like you and I are brothers, you know what I mean, and friends and stuff. I'm like, shit, man, that one was like kind of like, damn, I felt that. So
yeah. And it's crazy on the NFL. It's like in a blink, it's over. Like it's a cruel thing in this league where you saw with Malik Neighbors where.
Right.
And just in one moment, like, his season's over. And that's what sucks is it's a somber feeling, right? And there's a lot of other things to talk about in this game, but obviously Skattebo getting hurt is the real big thing. But like a lot of blame to still go around as well. And I know that there was a lot of injuries on the defensive side. Like Paulson Adebo was out, Javon Holland was out. And they've already had some injuries even before. Micah McFadden got hurt in week 1. But look, NFL, like, no one's gonna feel sorry for you. There's injuries around the league. I mean, AJ Brown wasn't in there for the Eagles, right? So all this to say, I mean, the Eagles ran all over the Giants. It was a really putrid display of defense, and starting out right from the beginning, because of course Saquon Barkley, who's had a really quiet season, and the Giants really bottled him up a couple weeks ago at MetLife Stadium. Second play of the game, 65-yard touchdown run for Saquon Barkley. It's just like you can't make it up.
You can't. And the hole was just right there. Like right when he got the ball and I saw the hole, I was like, he's gone.
He's gone. And Tyler fucking Nubin took a terrible angle on the ball and looked slow as shit. That has been someone who's had a horrendous second year. Someone that showed some promise as a rookie and has looked like absolute dog shit in his second season. Don't feel good about him. But the Giants show some fight. And, they are later in the quarter tied up. Jackson Dart to Cam Skattebo, 18-yard touchdown play, really nice sort of a juke by Skattebo, put the Eagles defender kind of on skates, and a nice throw by Dart. We're all tied up at 7. And so, all right, like Giants have been playing competitive football now for the last few weeks. And this is where shit gets controversial. And I guess early second quarter, and it's related to the fucking tush push yet again. And look, I want to just say this first. Like, I'm not saying that this, and there were other bad, like the officiating was pretty shit this game. And a lot of it was, not all of it, but a lot of it was in favor of the Eagles. This was a fucking clear-cut fumble recovery by Kayvon Thibodeau on a tush-push play that they claimed that his forward progress stopped. That's a fucking load of bullshit. First off, there was no fucking whistle to signify any forward progress being stopped, and you can't have it both ways. All right, then let's fucking call forward progress when they're pushing for 10 seconds for Jalen Hurts to get a first down. Maybe let's call forward progress then. But of course, after a first down happens, that's when we're going to call it. So that couldn't have been more of an obvious turnover that somehow doesn't happen. And then what do you know? A few plays later, Eagles get a touchdown and take a 14-7 lead.
Yeah, it was absolutely egregious, bro. I mean, it's just like, it's so clear that like the refs don't even know how to like manage this play. And it's starting to get, I mean, it's so terrible. Asinine, that whole sequence. I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad for the league. It really, really is. You have this amazing Eagle team that, and look, I really do believe that this will be the last. I would love, I mean, it'd be crazy if we see this next year, but it's like, it really, the Eagles I mean, look, I know I don't mean to disparage the Eagles, and look, give them credit for being the only ones that do it, but like, we may see another Super Bowl win for this Eagle team, and a big reason is this play is gold for them.
Yeah.
These are huge third and shorts, fourth and shorts that are basically impossible to stop.
And it's like, it's become the most subjective play in the history of the NFL. And like, in terms of all this stuff that you mentioned earlier, it's like, when's forward progress stopping? You know what I mean? Are we going to wait 20 minutes while they're, revving up their engines to like, move the 3 yards? Like what, like, and I still don't even really understand how they came to the decision that they did with this Thibodeau fumble, because it's like, Jalen Hurts is on top of the pile with the ball in his hand, still moving, and Kayvon takes it from his hands and rips it. And it's like, so where, because I believe they claimed that there was a whistle blown, even though I feel like none of us heard it.
Even though, right? They did a replay, I didn't hear any whistle.
No, exactly. So it's just like they don't even know how to call this thing, and it's just like, I don't get it, bro. It's like they're just getting the benefit of the doubt because they're the Super Bowl champs. And it's like, oh, well, this play was so amazing last year. And it's like, there's so many things. Like, I think the right guard was offsides on that play as well.
And that happens and the guards are always jumping early all the time, too. That's like a somewhat new revelation to this season. Like, I mean, it wasn't talked about as much previously.
No, definitely not.
But everyone's talking about that now. And Dable fucking lost his mind, and I don't blame him.
But deservedly so.
he basically did a rage challenge because they basically told him you can't challenge it, and he like fucking he like challenged it anyway. He basically threw away a timeout, and like I actually don't even blame him for that. You know what I mean?
No,
it's just
it was so infuriating. I mean, even as someone that just is a fan of football, it's just like what are we doing here?
It's terrible, right? Yeah. And so, of course, Saquon, gets the 9-yard touchdown catch from Jalen Hurts, and now they're up 14-7. And the Eagles never – that was it. Once they took that lead there, they never lost it. Graham Gano – I mean –
yeah, Gano's back. I mean, I guess
let's talk about that real quick. So, Graham Gano's back, and today it was fine. He was healthy. He made all his kicks. So, like, it's not really much of a conversation point. But if he somehow got hurt because I know it's not ideal as far as like the roster to dress 2 kickers, but like you could have in theory elevated Younghoe Koo and just had that insurance.
Yeah.
And again, I understand that in a perfect world, like with a normal healthy kicker, you're not going to dress 2 kickers. Like I get that. But if it somehow went wrong, man, that would have been such a fucking
I mean, how many times can you fuck up this kicker situation, right? Like you said, like God forbid he goes down. It's like you're not gonna have a kicker again.
Right,
what is this, the 4th fucking time in your coaching tenure that like a situation like this would have arisen? So
luckily it didn't happen. But
like, it didn't.
But part of me like fucking wants it to happen because it's like fuck them. It's so dumb and like because it will. You know what? With Graham Gano as your kicker, it may happen again. And and you just kind of deal with that. And to lose a kicker, in the middle of a game to lose a kicker is a huge, huge deal. It totally changes everything that you can and can't do. But again, Gano back, did the job, makes a 47-yard field goal. Just kind of skimming through some of more of the scoring plays than so much drive by drive here. Just because it was pretty lopsided finish.
Yeah.
Yes, and the injuries start to build up as well. By the end of the first half, you have a friendly fire situation where, and as it is, the Giants are super thin in the secondary. Cordell Flott, who's played really well. Devontae Smith did beat him a good amount, and look, that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But Bobby Okereke basically punches Flott in the helmet to the point where Flott was, in concussion evaluation and was ruled out for the rest of the game. So
that's crazy.
So now, who ends up out there for the Giants? So, it's fucking Deonte Banks, who we know is horrible, first-round bust pick. And speaking of bust picks from that year, Jalen Hyatt with Darius Slayton back. We'll bring up Darius Slayton a little bit.
Yeah,
another controversial call.
Yes, for sure.
Jalen Hyatt was a fucking healthy scratch. So it's like just furdering, admitting, that was just another horrendous draft pick, but I digress. So Cordell Flott goes down. So it leads to Corey Black having to play meaningful snaps because also Art Green, who's more of like a depth corner, he hurt his hamstring on special teams. So you're rolling out Deonte Banks and Corey Black. Now, the story behind Corey Black, he was a 7th-round draft pick this year by the Giants. The Jets actually ended up getting him onto their practice squad. It was somewhat of like it wasn't like a huge story because he's only a 7th-round pick, but like, it was somewhat of a story. And then at the beginning of this week, the Giants got him back from the Jets practice squad. And here he was thrust into a situation where he's getting basically regular reps. So that was a bit disastrous, but there was just some other really poor play on the defense. Dexter Lawrence hasn't been up to snuff this year. Dexter Lawrence has been one of the best players in the league. This year, it just hasn't been there. I don't think he's fully healthy.
Yeah.
He's been a problem. And just teams are running all over the Giants. Today was the highest, and I want to get the number right here, Casey. Also the Jets they had an amazing rushing day themselves, but the Eagles.
That we did, yeah.
The Eagles had the most of the season in a single game, and it was 276 yards for the Eagles. So really bad job there. Darius Muasau, who shouldn't even be in there because Micah McFadden got hurt. There's no depth on this team. Brian Burns continues to, and look, he's hurt too, but Brian Burns continues to really play very well. He got another sack today, so I think he's up to maybe 9 or I think maybe 10 now, actually. Abdul Carter was noticeable, but not exactly getting the results and the stats. But I mean, I guess he looked pretty good.
Impact.
Yeah. But yeah, just getting back to the game. Obviously the Skattebo injury happens in the second quarter, which was devastating, and that really kind of changed the tone of this game. And the Giants, they cut it to 14-10, but then the Eagles, they respond with a Dallas Goedert touchdown with 20 seconds left to make it 21-10 at half.
To 10, right.
And it was pretty much all Eagles in the second half. Giants go 3-and-out to start. Eagles get a pretty long field drive that ends up in a field goal. Giants as well. Giants have a 15-play, 59-yard drive that ends up in a field goal. That's not, when you're down by 2 touchdowns, that's just not good enough. And as far as Jackson Dart today, I thought had a pretty good first half. Not quite as good in the second half. I think with him now, he's holding onto the ball a little too long. So it's a little bit of self-inflicted wounds. Like, I think he did a pretty solid job, made some plays happen. There were some third down conversions. Look, his weapons become less and less, obviously, with Skattebo now out. And you're going against a pretty good Eagle defense with Jalen Carter in there, where he wasn't a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But Jackson Dart, I think, taking a lot of sacks, a lot of delay a game and timeout stuff. So a lot to, and look, he's a rookie, but a lot to clean up on. Not a great game for Jackson Dart, but it wasn't as if he was horrible. But I thought kind of was worse as the game went on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we start at the fourth quarter. They get that field goal, the Giants, to cut it to 24-13. But you get another Dallas Goedert touchdown. What was really shitty was on there's a 2nd and 26. Giants are down by 11. Tank Bigsby's in there at this point. Brian Brown just got a sack.
Saquon pulled his hammy at this point, I believe. Yeah.
Exactly. He did. And Tank Bigsby's in. And on 2nd and 26, he gets a 29-yard run. You literally just got a sack that lost them 16 yards. Next fucking play, he
and it was easy, bro. It was easy. He cruised over that line. Yeah,
it was easy.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the shit that is inexcusable to have happen, and it ends up in a fucking Goddard touchdown. And yeah, from there, there's another touchdown the Eagles get late, which was just, again, Corey Black isn't able to make a play where Jahan Dotson comes down with it, 40-yard touchdown. What I skipped over was the drive before. So at this point, it's 31-13. Look, it's a long shot to come back, but hey, we fucking saw the Giants blow an 18-point lead with less time left last week.
Yeah.
So,
and we did something happen in the Jets game today that's eerily similar to that as well.
Yes, exactly. So, it's never totally over, but
totally.
Giants may have caught a break possibly where it looked as if the Giants turned it over, where Dart gets sacked. Looked as if he fumbled it, and the Eagles recovered. They actually overturned it to an incomplete pass. I was a little surprised by that. I actually thought that was originally correctly called, but the Giants maybe catch a break there on review, and then Darius Slayton appeared to have gotten a 68-yard touchdown on a 4th and 11 again to kind of just keep minute at that point. But they call it an offensive pass interference on Slayton, which seemed like a real questionable call. It seems like both Slayton and the defender were kind of both going at each other. I mean, to just call it on Slayton there just felt wrong. And, not that the score should matter. It shouldn't, but it's like, it's an 18-point game. I mean, forget about that part of it, right? But just... Yeah, Slayton pushed a little bit, but it wasn't like Slayton pushed him and totally shoved him away.
Yeah, that's what's annoying. Yeah, because I just feel like technically he did have his hand out, so it's like ticky-tack wise, it's like, yes, technically he pushed, you could say he pushed off, but like you said, it's like if you're watching the whole play and how it's unfolding, they're hand checking each other the entire route. You know what I mean? So. Right. I don't know. Even Brady and Burkhardt, because I believe they were on the call. They were kind of, flustered as well and kind of perplexed. So
definitely. And as they were in other situations, give Brady and Burkhardt credit as they were in other situations, right? The Thibodeau play and other plays as well, where it was like, hey,
what's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah. There was a call on Wan'Dale Robinson earlier as well. That was, that really didn't need to be, where it took away a Giants first down. That didn't really need to be called. But, eventually, so the Giants turn it, they have to punt there. You have the Dotson touchdown. And then, kind of just at the end of the game, kind of going through the motions. Giants do get a touchdown. Jackson Dart, 2-yard touchdown run. Giants lose by a final score of 38-20 in Philadelphia. So, Yeah, I think I pretty much touched on just about everything. Again, like the rushing yards is pathetic as far as giving up the 276.
276, yeah.
No turnovers on either side. Eagles, had better time of possession. I mean, so now the Giants are 2-6. Yet again, a very familiar position. And injuries are really mounting.
Yeah.
Sucks about Skattebo. Gonna miss his, infectious sort of energy, and just he's a rookie. It sucks. Like, you don't know how these players are going to come back. Malik Neighbor is getting hurt in his second season. These are young cornerstone pieces that are having major injuries. So here we go again. It's just kind of another painful season for the Giants, and we're not even totally halfway through it just yet. So
it sucks, bro. I mean, I know that you didn't really expect too much from this season going into it and stuff like that, but just like you alluded to, just like Skattebo going down, and obviously Malik Neighbors earlier, it's like, now there's not even really anything like Jackson Dart is basically alone out there. You know what I mean? Throwing to Wandell and Slayton, not really, high caliber receivers in the way that you imagine. So, it just kind of stinks. It's like, even if, you want to see some flashes of brilliance from Jackson Dart, and we certainly have already, but, now you feel like it's going to be even that much harder for him to even really even operate in the way that I guess you're hoping to see going forward here, just because of lack of talent around him now.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say before we go to the Jets, next week it'll be San Francisco coming to town. They just lost to the Texans. Obviously they're right in the playoff hunt. A very banged up team. I'm curious if Brock Purdy makes his return. I think that's a big difference. I mean, Mac Jones did all right in certain games, but, Purdy's obviously a higher caliber than Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall's been out for a while, and it doesn't really seem like he's that close to returning, but maybe. And obviously on defense, there's been major injuries with Nick Bosa. Robert Saleh will be making his return to MetLife Stadium as defense coordinator of the Niners. So, and look, for me at this point, I with this loss here, and I know I already had done a little bit, I was kind of going back and forth, but now for sure, I'm not going to be like rooting hard for it. I would prefer losses. Everything being equal, I want Dart to do well. This isn't about draft positioning. I want a new regime. And so, that's pretty much where it's at. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens with the Giants coming up here against San Francisco. Would be nice to have Mac Jones be there in the in the lineup for you over Brock Purdy. But anyway, we'll see. I guess let's talk about a team that won today. It's weird. I don't even know really like how to feel. Going into this game, I wasn't expecting much, as you probably would expect with the team that's 0-7. Still without Garrett Wilson as our wide receiver one, and Sauce Gardner actually was out today as well, so we were depleted on that front. So not really much high hopes there in terms of the defense and the offense doing all that much. And obviously, too, Tyrod Taylor ended up not starting. It was kind of a, wait till the last minute and see. I think it was actually yesterday, being Saturday, that we found out for sure that Justin Fields was going to come back in. But obviously, I could get into all the stuff that happened since we've last been on camera together. But Woody Johnson obviously had made some comments earlier this week about the whole situation with the Jets, just to add more fuel to the fire, because that's what dysfunctional owners do, is kind of just, insert themselves into things. And I mean, not that he was really wrong, though, but probably not the best way to go about doing that. And lo and behold, now here we are that Justin Fields now has to start for us, even though, Woody Johnson kind of made it clear maybe we shouldn't be doing that anymore. But hey, look, you got to give credit to Justin Fields. I got to give credit to this team overall. I mean, I'll be honest, the beginning of this game felt like we were kind of just going to go through the same old motions once again here. The Bengals went down and kicked a field goal. Obviously, we're playing Joe Flacco, too, who used to be, been in the Jets for 2 stints and now is on his second team in this one season. Because the Browns bizarrely decided to trade for him, trade him away, I should say, to a division rival. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of going the way I was kind of expecting it to. On our first drive, we ended up going for it on 4th down, which was a little bit, I guess, gutsy and a little bit Dan Campbell-esque of Aaron Glenn, but we end up not converting. So it was a turnover on downs, and then right then and there, I'm like, oh boy, like here we go. This is going to get rough here. And it was kind of looking that way because even though there was a few punts, Joe Flacco ended up scoring relatively easily. He actually had a sneak to get their first touchdown on the board, which was par for the course. Have a 40-year-old man sneak it up the middle against our vaunted defense. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this game. I feel like the first half really, it was kind of the Jets that we've had been seeing for the last 2 games or so, and really throughout most of the season. But in terms of offense, the ineptitude was kind of still there. And it was getting kind of tough for a little while. Just a lot of kind of miscues. But anyway, the ground game kind of came together here for the Jets. And I guess credit to, Aaron Glenn and Tanner Eggstrom that, that they stuck with this rushing attack that we've kind of like been waiting all year to see. Like, this was always kind of like the plan of what this team was supposed to kind of look like here, is that you have Breece Hall and you have Justin Fields, and you can kind of have both of them run and, kind of throwing the defenders off and, use the play action to your advantage with that. So it was kind of nice to see that the rushing attack was there, and Breece Hall had a phenomenal game, 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, and 1 that he threw, and had a pretty unbelievable pass to Mason Taylor. I got to admit, I was even kind of impressed by that. So that was good to see. Isaiah Davis too. Obviously he's the RB2 for us now because Braylon Allen's been out for some time. He had some moments as well here. So that was encouraging to see. I good shout out to the offensive line as well, giving the holes to the running backs so that for them to do their thing. But all that to be said, the Jets, we were down 31-16 at the end of the third quarter here. So, even though there was all these positive things happening, it really it seemed like it was for naught because we still really couldn't get the scores when we needed to. It was very similar to many Jet situations here where, we do a bunch of things right, but then we end up doing the inevitable mistake or the, miscue that ends up leading to either a punt or a field goal rather than a touchdown. So, 31-16, but then look, man, I think see, this is what's tough about this is because as a Jet fan, I'm happy for the win. I'm happy that we're not winless. I'm happy that storyline is over. I guess I'm not going to rejoice about this victory in the sense I understand that this was good that we got this off our back, but am I really expecting anything else out of this year? Not really. I mean, I'm glad that Glenn can get his first victory, but all that to say, my point being is that I'm impressed that the Jets were able to come back and win this game, and Justin Fields was able to make some throws, but I'm almost in the camp of Cincinnati's defense just being that freaking atrocious to allow the Jets to come back into this game. And I mean, I hate to be like that, but prior to, when we were down by all those points that I mentioned earlier, I mean, there wasn't much happening in terms of the receivers. We had, no Josh Reynolds as well. I forgot to mention that as well. So our wide receiver, I guess he's technically our wide receiver 2, even though he's a wide receiver 4 in most people's eyes. But, Fields is throwing to Tyler Johnson and Isaiah Williams. So, not really household names here and kind of playing like them for an extent. But look, credit to this team for, I guess, seizing the opportunity, kind of seeing that the Bengals kind of took their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter and, was basically allowing the Jets to just run all over them. I know the Eagles ended up with 276, but the Jets had pretty damn close to that with 254 on the ground. Yep. And ended up throwing for 248 in the air as well, which is super, impressive for Justin Fields. But 500 total yards of offense, which is unbelievable for a Jets team that obviously you've been seeing these games with me. The fact that, they had negative 10 passing yards, I know that's obviously accounting the sacks and stuff like that. But still, to have a game like that and then a game where we explode for 500 yards, it's pretty remarkable. But I'm happy for the team and it's a great victory. I'm happy for Justin Fields. I'm sure it's been a very crappy week for him in terms of all the scrutiny he's been getting and stuff like that. So look, happy for that, but I don't really know where we can build off of this victory, so to speak. I guess I'm just, as a Jet fan, I'm kind of looking ahead here a little bit, and maybe I should be enjoying this victory a little bit more, but it's like, because like theirs was no Garrett and, no Sauce on defense. It's just like, how can we, I don't know. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the pieces are not really there. And I just feel like the defense on Cincinnati was like, so like just kind of let off the brakes so much that it's just hard for me to kind of gauge this victory. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that sound weird?
No, I would be in the same position as you, where it's, I mean, look, really in a very impressive comeback, but yet
it is,
there's a little bit of bittersweet in the sense that it took this long for it to really happen like this. And we've seen some flashes, the Steeler game, and I'll give the Jets credit for this. Like, they have not quit. Now, I'm sure there were some games where they did kind of just go through the motions, but hey, like at Tampa, we know what happened in that game. They lost, but that was an impressive, the fact that they were able to get back in that game. And then some other games too, where like it didn't get as close, but hey, they're playing hard. And again, it's easier as a John fan to say this, but they're playing hard for Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, that's true. Like he hasn't lost the locker room. It seems that, at least it seems that way. It seems like people are still listening to him and I guess believe in what he's preaching back there because I mean they definitely fought today. That's for sure.
And also like it's 38-24, about close to midway through the fourth quarter, right? So like
right.
You get the Breece Hall touchdown, a couple of really key 2-point conversions. I mean, I was talking about this in the Giant Bronco game.
Yes.
Those 2-point conversions are huge. They get the first one, but then the Bengals respond with a quick touchdown. But then, I think at one point there was at least one 4th down conversion. It was like that. I don't know if there were any others, but I know there was one at about midfield that they converted. It was like a 4th and 1, and it might have gone to Mason Taylor. I want to say,
I believe so. Yep.
Up the left sideline, but. You get the Breece Hall touchdown where he's able to stay in bounds, a pretty impressive touchdown. And then just a great play by Justin Fields. They go for 2. And hey, like, somewhat of a ballsy decision by Aaron Glenn in both instances, and good for him. Like, he go, you're 0-7, fuck it. Like, this Bengal defense sucks. Let's do it. And Justin Fields does a great job of just kind of evading all of these Bengals defenders and somehow finds Isaiah Davis, where not only does he make the catch, but somehow upon review, he was in. Right. I wasn't sure if
that was the big thing.
That.
Exactly. They when the play first happened, they said he didn't actually cross the plane, and actually Glenn had to challenge it, and then we actually got to play reverse, which is pretty crazy. I mean, it was very tight. Like I
thought it might stand. I wasn't sure.
I thought it might stand too. But as a Jet fan, I guess I was leaning towards like I kind of see like the ball right on the line right there. So close. I was kind of like hoping for the best here. So when that happened, you felt pretty good as a Jet fan. Like, wow, maybe things are going to turn around here. And then, obviously, like you just said, ballsy decision, especially that second one, because doing that, then I guess, his logic is that we get the ball back with the chance to win rather than tie. Right. So, some impressive stuff, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That was huge. And then, hey, look, give the defense, the defense got torched most of the game, but give them some credit because then after it's 38-32, they're able to get a stop to get the ball back on what was a 3-and-out, which was big. And then the Jets, they're able to somewhat methodically, like there was so much. It's interesting when the Jets got the ball back originally with like down by 6. I'm thinking like there's so like both teams had 3 timeouts. I'm thinking there's like so much time left to the point where if I'm a Jet fan and if you're a Jet fan that wants to win, I'm thinking, okay, I want the Jets to score and take the lead, but then I'm almost conceding that the Bengals, I think they're going to score, and I hope there's enough time for the Jets to get the ball back. But what ends up happening is the Jets do get their touchdown, after the 2-minute warning. Like you said, Casey, really nice. I mean, Breece Hall like somehow made a couple of moves and like pump faked and like found Mason Taylor in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. A little bit of trickery.
I was going to say, or like, I think Mason Taylor ended up, like, I think he was supposed to get the ball sooner.
Yeah.
And that's why actually Breece pumped, because he actually wasn't open right away. It seemed like maybe there was something a little awry, but it ended up working out, which was great.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And so, but I think everyone's thinking, all right, like now at this point, like a lot of time had went by to the point where it's like, okay, it's kind of comes down to this Bengal drive to the point where like the Jets probably won't see the ball again if the Bengals score. But like the Jet defense is able, and look, it helps like when, Flacco, a guy like not having a mobile quarterback in situations like this is pretty helpful on the defense, but still like that wasn't even like necessarily so relevant here. And the Jets are able to make the plays and the Jets find a way to win 39-38. I mean, pretty remarkable and unexpected. And look, for a Cincinnati team that, is hoping to get Joe Burrow back at some point, like this was a big loss to them. I don't know that they would have necessarily made it anyway, but now they dropped to 3-5. Like the point is like this was a big game. Like this hurt Bengals fans for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there might be some coaching changes kind of in play here. We might find out on Monday some of the coordinators or coaches on that defensive side of the ball because, just optically from the Bengals perspective, you let an 0-7 team basically come back from the fourth quarter and basically just run all over you. And so not a good look for them. You're absolutely right. Very brutal game for them, but we'll take it. Now, as a Jet fan, though, it's like, okay, we got the winless thing off our back. Now I'm kind of in the same boat as you where I'm like, all right, like now maybe we just kind of let's play with heart. But, maybe we take a few L's here and just kind of secure our draft position, especially I don't know. Let's build that culture like Glenn claims, and then we can worry about the wins next year at this point.
Especially with, the Jets have a bye next week, but then you come out of that home against Cleveland. So that
might win 2 in a row, bro.
That'd be right. I mean, like that's probably one of the easier games left on the schedule. So it's kind of interesting just in terms of jockeying for draft positioning, against the Cleveland team that, like Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, we don't know, like, they certainly could be in line for a quarterback. So this one could go a long way just in terms of, again, like sort of that tankathon jockeying for draft position.
Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of like wrap things up here on the Jet front, I guess this is what I'm also like, I guess this is why I'm kind of like happy, but I'm also kind of still feeling like a bit of like not sure uneasiness with everything, because to your point, by the time we play Cleveland, the trade deadline will have already passed for the NFL.
Yes.
So, for example, Breece Hall, right? He's been the talk, of late, especially in the Jet world, about is he going to get let go, right? Do you sell high now with the fact that he had this monster fucking game where he threw a touchdown pass too? Like, these are the things to consider here. And that's why I guess like I'm not like, yes, it's a great win, but like in the sense of like building off of this, it's like the team might not even be the same in a couple weeks here. We might be flipping pieces at this point. Like, so I guess I'm just curious. Like, what do you think about Breece Hall being moved on the trade deadline?
It's a really good question, and I wanted to know your thoughts as well.
Yeah,
right, especially coming off of this, right, where on the one hand, like his trade value is in a pretty good place currently. He's healthy. He's looking good.
Yeah.
But also like if you trade him, then what does that look like? And Isaiah Davis has done a nice job, and like, a backfield duo of Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis like next season or something like that, like, is may not be like the worst thing in the world. Like you could get by with that potentially with other pieces in place. But the Breece Hall decision is going to be like a real interesting one because he'll be pretty highly coveted. There's a lot of good teams that could use a running back like him. But my prediction, and look, it kind of changes by the week, right? Like if we had talked about it last week, we might have said, okay, and I think we might have even maybe touched on it, like that maybe he would get traded. Now I don't know. I'm not sure that he does. What are your kind of thoughts as far as what you prefer and what your prediction might be? And maybe those two things line up.
Yeah, it's tough because there's, like the Breece Hall that we saw today is obviously the one that us Jet fans kind of expected, that we would be seeing on a very consistent basis. Now, as someone that has watched Breece Hall, basically every snap that he's played on the Jets these last 4 years, he is a little up and down at times. He is a little inconsistent. And, it's tough because, what can we get for Breece Hall? Like a 4th round pick, maybe a 3rd round pick after this outing. Like someone might be willing to give you a 3rd round pick for that. And it's like, if you're really thinking like, am I going to, with this 3rd round pick, are we going to draft a running back that's going to be in the same caliber as Breece Hall? You know what I mean? I was looking over the 3rd round picks earlier of running backs and, in the last few years in the NFL. And I can't recall it off the top of my head now, but most of the people that were on that list are very subpar running backs that were in the 3rd round. Barring David Montgomery, I think was the only standout one that we were like, okay, wow, like he ended up being a good player. But all that to say, it's like, okay, like I guess I feel like the plan is to get a quarterback next year, right? We're going to draft someone. Someone's going to be available for us. Hopefully that kid from Indiana, I guess at this point, Mendoza.
Yeah.
You do want pieces around this kid. Now, we do have the stud receiver, and, even though I have my gripes with Mr. Gardner, he is someone that we're paying a lot of money to, and he is still young enough where obviously he can realize his full potential here. And look, I mean, for a rookie quarterback, having a solid running back there, it seems pretty pivotal. I mean, look at Jackson Dart with Skattebo even now, but even, other rookie quarterbacks that have had, a solid running back behind him, like Dak Prescott with Ezekiel Elliott, like it's a thing, obviously. And, I could see Breece Hall being that workhorse guy. It's tough though, dude, because I don't know. It's it's up in the air. I'm sorry. I don't know.
It is. Yeah. You have because it's not an easy decision. I'll say that. It's not. It's not a no-brainer. But I'm nervous about letting him go because I know the Jets, and I feel like with the Jets, like we aren't going to get a running back that's going to be even remotely close to Breece Hall. But right. I guess having seen Breece Hall and his inconsistencies, it's like maybe I do think I could take a swing at it. But anyway, it's going to be tough. But it's certainly going to be something that's going to be discussed because it's already has been, and I'm sure Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. I mean, I know there's been some players that have been talked about on our defensive side of the ball as well that are tradable. So we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. And like you said, for the Jets, this was their last game before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
For the Giants, one more game, but that'll be interesting conversation for sure. As far as you would think that both of these teams would be more on the seller's side, but crazier things crazier things have happened, for sure. So we'll see if, either of these teams are active at the trade deadline. But certainly there are some players to sell on both teams, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. So anyway, guys. Yeah.
One thing on the way out on the Jet side, obviously sad news with Nick Mangold passing away at the young age of 41 due to kidney failure. And, I don't know. Obviously, he wasn't teammates with these players, but obviously Mangold was, a tried and true Jet. But, kind of a winning on this day, maybe has a little bit of different meaning than on another day. So,
absolutely.
I'm not sure if there's any correlation there, but obviously a little bit of magic for the Jets on what was an otherwise sad day.
100%. Yes. Rest in peace, Nick Mangold, 7-time Pro Bowler for us. I mean, the guy was a stud. I don't even know the last 7-time Pro. I mean, he probably was the last 7-time Pro Bowler that the Jets have had. It's been a long time. Yeah. Rough to see him go. He's definitely, a central figure in that era from with Sanchez and Rex Ryan. Obviously, he was a core piece to that. So, very unfortunate to obviously he's 41. We're in our mid-30s right now, so it's very weird in terms of just kind of that perspective and just seeing how life is so precious, and it's just very sad to see him go. But yeah, it's great that the Jets kind of pulled together here, and we can say that this one's for Nick. So yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, guys. That's about it. I mean, our New York teams are just trying to get on by here.
Not doing great, Casey. Not doing great. Yeah, I'll be coming
even with this win.
Yeah. I'll be coming in hot for this next Ranger episode. That's for sure. I'm gearing up for that.
That's for sure.
Like this Giants stuff pales in comparison to the shit I'm about to talk about with the Rangers. So
exactly. Yeah. And guys, make sure you stay tuned for that. Obviously, Derek does recaps after every single Rangers game, going over what happened. Tonight's game didn't look too good for the Rangers, 5-1, I believe. Yeah. That's pretty ugly. So yeah, Derek's going to get into all of that. That'll either be up later tonight or tomorrow morning. Obviously, the Jets won't be playing next week, but we'll be talking about the Giants next week together. And then the Jets will be back the following week, and we'll hop on that. But we'll be here doing our Sunday recaps, and just appreciate you all. Make sure to tune in and subscribe, and we'll talk soon.